What's the deal? It's your boy, Mr. Will. And you are now tuned in to Wilson Block of Thou Wow, okay? And we got a very special guest on the block, Soul the Interrogator, you know what I'm saying?
What's
yes,
good?
sir.
What's good?
Thanks for coming through for this exclusive interview, man. You know what I mean? It's been a drag trying to get artists to, just drop in these days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, real happy to have you, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I mean, despite the traffic, I'm doing really well, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we might have to give you a little gas stipend, you know what I mean, on the way back. Because this I-5 be no joke sometimes, you know?
For real. It's crazy.
And it'd be so unpredictable, you know?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, real quick, man, for our audience listening, go ahead and just hit us with a quick background.
My name's Soul the Interrogator. I've been in Seattle hip-hop since 1991. Started doing hip-hop back in, I fell in love with hip-hop back in 83 when I was 10 years old. And my involvement has been kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
There's been times where I quit and came back, and other times where, I fell into some bad habits that's, stifled my career advancement. And, but I've been doing it, I'm still here. I've been doing it for a long time. So.
Yeah. So before we get into the music and the culture and all that, man, just tell me how life was growing up in Seattle. You know what I mean? Because for the record, man, I'm from LA. I'm a transplant. I know Seattle got history of transplants. It's no secret, But for the people that grew up here, this is the whole reason I got you on the show. You know what I mean? To talk about, what was life like growing up in Seattle during these eras, you know what I mean?
Okay. I was also a transplant. I lived in SoCal. I lived on Catalina Island in Long Beach.
Oh, heavy.
And that's where all my siblings are from. They're from Long Beach. They went to Poly. And
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you know what it is, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've been around the block.
Yeah. I go down to Cali all the time to visit my family and stuff. So,
okay.
But yeah, my mom and I moved up here in 85. I was about 12. And it was tough because, my mom didn't have any skills growing up. She was a single mom. My dad died when I was 6.
Okay.
And, we had to take emergency housing, which was in a motel. And I lived there for several years, and then we moved to the Central District. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of lived on, the neighborhood I lived in North Seattle was kind of a lower middle class, more of a white neighborhood. And then when I lived in the Central District, that was, predominantly black neighborhood.
What part of North Seattle? We're talking about Wallingford?
It's kind of like I lived on 87. In a song, I said 97th and 99, but it was actually 87th and Aurora Avenue, which was 99. It's kind of in between Greenwood and trying to think of another area, Northgate.
Okay.
Kind of in between that area. And it was it's pretty crazy, rough neighborhood, just living right off of Aurora Avenue. There's prostitution, drug dealing, and a lot of violence, and a lot of latchkey kids growing up. And so, that
I seen a lot of that in Grinch's music videos.
Yeah, he's from Ballard.
Right.
Which I used to go kick it at. I made a lot of friends over in Ballard. I used to sell weed to them guys over there. And it was so weird. That's a total... poor white neighborhood back in the 80s.
Really?
Mullets.
For real?
Metal.
Ballard?
Yeah.
What?
Mullets, heavy metal. Yeah, it was crazy, bro. The only hip hop they listened to was Easy Does It by Eazy-E and Too Short. Life is Too Short. Other than that, it was all Iron Maiden, Metallica. It was crazy. Yeah.
Trip. So you would say Ballard is almost instrumental in the whole grunge thing of Seattle and all that?
I don't know about that. Because a lot of the grunge scene came from outlining places like Nirvana was actually from Aberdeen, Washington, which is down near the coast.
Right.
And they, a lot of them claimed Seattle because it was just a central area. If they said, I'm from Aberdeen, Washington, people on MTV be like, what's an Aberdeen?
Right.
What is that?
Right.
And so, but no, it was they were about hair metal bands, heavy metal, grunge is that's like a subgenre.
Well, so not even so much grunge, but just music in Seattle, right? Ballard has been instrumental in influencing. Not really. Not so much.
Nah. Because if you look at like Heart, the band Heart, they're from Queen Anne. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix from the Central District.
Okay.
So, I don't really know where like Pearl Jam is from per se, like what area, but a lot of their music they played in Capitol Hill,
right?
You know, maybe a little bit in Fremont, but a lot of their music was Capitol Hill, downtown Seattle area,
right?
So, yeah, I don't know, maybe a little bit, but
right.
That's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, so
all right, so moving to the hip hop, man. You know, who were, you know, some of the figures in particular that kind of, you know, as far as you know, gave you your introduction to rap? Like, oh, man, I like this shit.
Okay. Yeah, back when I was 10, I just moved back from Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for 2 years.
Okay.
And I moved back to Cali, and hip-hop hadn't hit the Hawaiian Islands yet.
Okay.
And so I moved back, and there's this new music. They called it rap back then. You know, it didn't have the name hip-hop.
Right.
And I heard there was Jam on it by Nucleus and Sucker MCs by Run DMC. Blew my mind. I was like, and I fell in love with it instantly.
Right.
And then there was like Freakazoid by Midnight Star.
Okay.
There was Houdini Freaks Come Out at Night. And then, you know, Breakin' came out. That was a dope movie. And Beat Street, that was another one that had Grandmaster Melly Mel in the end. He was, you know, rapping at the end, and then Crush Groove, and so there was this starting to get this mainstream introduction to hip hop, but there's still a lot of prejudice with it.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with it. It spoke to me. I was just like, whoa, I love this, you know, and I gravitated towards it immediately.
Right.
You know?
And then when would you say you actually started to pin lyrics down?
I wrote my first rap song when I was 10. Me and my homies were listening to Sucker MCs, and I said, man, one of my friends said, I wish I could do that. And I said, I could do that. And they said, no, you can't. The first thing he said is, no, you can't. You're white. And I was like,
stop it, bro.
And so I said, all right, let's make a bet.
Yeah.
Bet our allowance.
Right.
They couldn't write anything. I came up and I had, you know, some bars, and I read it to them, and we did it. 2 Sucker MCs that was playing on a tape deck, and they were like, oh, what? They were tripping. Yeah. So that was the first time I ever penned a lyric. But as I got older, when I was about 15, 16, I really started writing, and my mom used to complain because she would come in my bedroom and it would just be littered with rap lyrics all on the floor. Shit. You know, I had a messy ass bedroom, but it was just the floor. She goes, this place turned into a fire hazard. She says, you got your damn rap lyrics all over the floor. It was funny, man. So, yeah.
That's what's up, man. You know, I mean, look, man, hip hop is so deep at this point. A lot of those old school cats, I mean, I still got homework to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just being born in 90, and I mean, there's people in my generation that are pretty familiar. You know what I mean? But I mean, music is expansive. Yeah. You know what I mean? When we talk about eras, and you know, there's a lot of one-hit wonders that made contributions to the culture at large. You know. So yeah, that's what's up. So let's talk Takeover Music Collective. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, how does your, you know what I'm saying, your relationship with Ready Ron and your participation in the collective, right? Like how did all that come together?
Well, Ron was working with a dude named Ryan Taylor. He goes by Ryan Van Huygen now. Okay. And I had met Ryan Taylor through another dude named Dylan Greenwood who shoots music videos. And Ryan was like, I'm working with this guy, Ready Ron. He makes beats, and I want to do a song with him. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I saw Ready Ron on social media. He used to do the, hey guys, it's me, Ready Ron Beats. And he would give like some inspirational speech, or he would do every Sunday, he would do like he'd play one of his beats live and then talk about it. And, and I was like, I really liked his music. And so I had first met Ron was at a show, and he was hosting and DJing, and you know, he he'd freestyle over his own beats. And he goes, but I don't rap. Right. That's not me. I don't rap.
But be dope as fuck, though.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, this guy's like Pete Rock or Premier. I was like, his beats are fire. And so Ryan Taylor had said, hey, I want to do this song with you. Reddy Ron's going to make the beat. And I went and met Ron, and he's like, oh, so the Interrogator, I don't know who you are. What's up? And we shook hands.
Oh, he had already heard of you.
Yeah. And so, we started building from there. And so I was like the first person out of anybody to take over to work with him.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't start Takeover Music Collective with Ron. That was actually Mojo Barnes and him, because he was the second one to start working with Ron, and they developed. I was more doing my own thing, so I would work with Ron. We're doing a little side project, and so I'd come around when I could. I was pretty busy, and so but him and Mojo were just really tight, and they worked together. And then Seven the Panther was another one.
Right, big shout out.
And I was a big fan of his. I had already heard of him. Right. And same, vice versa. Mm-hmm. And so when him and I got to collab for the first time, it was the first time we met. And then from there, it just kind of, there's been a lot of artists that came and went. Ryan Taylor's no longer with Ron.
Right. Yeah, Ron gave me the scoop on that.
Yeah. There was Jamel Moxie. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of people that had came and went. Right. But the core of us had stayed, and then Double XL, who I had met about 5 years earlier, he's in a group called Relevant References, and I met him, and he was the one out of his crew that I pointed out. I said, bro, you're really dope. Right. So Ron goes, oh, I'm working with this new guy, Double XL. I said, man, I know who that guy is. He's dope. Right. And so we just all gravitated towards each other. We started doing shows together called The Takeover, Reddy Ron's Takeover. Right. And from there, it built into Mojo and him starting Takeover Music Collective, and then we just kind of all fell in place, and we just all
conglomerated.
Yeah, basically. It was never like, hey, would you like to join Takeover Music Collective? Right. It just happened.
Right, it wasn't any formal
there was,
meeting.
Right, just, exactly. Yeah. Right. I mean, we had meetings and stuff, but there was never like a, hey,
let's do this.
We're going to do, it's just, here we are, let's go. We might as well.
Now, would you say it's more, what would you say is the stronger glue, right? Is it the shows, or is it the studio, the songs and the production and all that?
As far as what?
The collective. Like, what is... Because, look, from outside looking in, it looks like, the showcases are kind of like the spearhead, right? Yeah. But when you look at, everyone's dropping projects, Reddy Ron's producing a lot of this stuff, so there's a lot of that, too, right? That's, post-production, pre-production, a lot of that. You don't do that shit on stage, right? Right. So that's a lot of the...
Well, how our shows started happening is, we're individually doing our projects. Mm-hmm. We have a group project that we're doing.
Okay, I heard about that. We were looking forward to that one,
man. But as individuals, we're doing, and we do shows, and it got to the point where we knew our stuff so much, we just back each other up. Right. And so when you see us on stage, there's a definite cohesiveness between us because we all know each other's stuff. Right. We know each other's mannerisms. And that's kind of what developed us as artists to... be able to really come together. And so now we do weekly meetings. We collab more. We know each other's likes and dislikes. Right. So I think the shows definitely is what brought us together more so than doing the studio work. Right.
Okay. So, yeah. So a lot of the studio stuff, like a lot of your music, because like the new project you got out, Oh Head, you know what I'm saying? Go cop it. I mean, you can't really tell people to cop music these days because it's all streaming.
Go stream it.
I mean? Go stream it. Now streaming, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no Reddy Ron beats on the album.
Correct.
Why?
Ron and I have a project we're doing called The Whole Damn Thing, and
the whole damn thing.
Yeah, The Whole Damn Thing.
Let's go.
Well, because I remember we were talking one day. What are we going to call this? He goes, called what? And I go, The Whole Damn Thing, the project. And he goes, why not just call it that? And I was like, all right. So. Anyway, there was a lot of songs that were left unfinished and that we had to remix and redo. And Ron brought in Angie Stacks into our collective. Yeah. And he got really busy working with her. And we have a calendar. Okay, this month, Mojo and Ron's coming out. August, Soul's coming out. September, Double XL's coming out, so on and so forth. I mean, my time was coming up, and Ron and I just couldn't connect, and
Right.
there was some miscommunication between us. I had been working on Old Head on my own during COVID. I was locked down. I was really depressed.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my late brother, rest in peace. He encouraged me to. Little side story on my brother.
Yeah.
He was in a punk band, a very prominent punk band down in Long Beach called Secret Hate. Okay. And Bradley from Sublime was a big fan of my brother's group.
Oh, wow.
And he covered the song Ballad of Johnny Butt. If you ever hear the Sublime record, there's a song called The Ballad of Johnny Butt, and my brother wrote that. So anyway, my brother was always like somebody I looked up to in music.
Right.
So one day, him and I are talking, and I'm just telling him I'm depressed. He's down in Long Beach. He goes, bro, you got a studio, you make beats, just start putting it pen to paper. So anyway, I wrote the song Strawberry Nights. I wrote Fentanyl Blues. I wrote a couple others, and he was hearing these, and he was really encouraging me. He said, man, just keep doing it. So anyway, through Takeover, I'd kind of put that on the back burner.
Well, it was kind of, it had already started before Takeover kind of culminated?
No, Takeover was already doing stuff.
I mean, but as far as your participation?
No, yeah,
you were already involved?
Yeah. But I was still doing this on the side.
Right.
You know, and so what had happened is when Ron and I just couldn't connect to get our project done, my time frame was getting shorter and shorter. And so I looked at everybody, I said, well, I got Old Head. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, mix and master. We'll just put that on the the docket for release.
Exactly, right.
And, initially Ron wasn't too happy about it.
Yeah.
But, he got on board pretty quick because
Yeah.
he knows that, like, out of all the producers I worked with, he's one of the most talented, dopest producers I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Him and I are cut from a similar cloth. We both come from the streets. We're both come from addiction. And, it was, I respect and I love Ron to death.
Yeah.
So it was like, I had to tell him, I said, bro, that doesn't mean I don't want to work with you.
Right.
We just got to get this out.
Right.
So anyway, we put it out. And so now our project on the next cycle of
it's going to be Ron.
It's going to be me and Ron.
Okay.
Thing. So,
and he's going to exclusively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then me and Mojo Barnes have about 3-4 songs that we've done together too.
Okay.
So I may incorporate a little bit
still
of Mojo
unreleased?
in there. Yeah, still unreleased.
Oh yeah.
And then me and Double XL have a group called Tag Team Champs where we have beats from me, beats from Ron, beats from Mojo. So I'm always constantly working. This was just something that my time was coming.
Right.
The reason why I released on August 12th was August 11th was hip hop's 50th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 50 this year, and so
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, okay, I need to. Yeah, I'm 50.
I got to drop something this year.
I got to drop it.
Yeah.
I got to drop it, and so I just put it out, and it's doing really well.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
so,
hey, you got to be. Hey, look, I'm gonna put it to you like this, man. Well, first of all, what did you think of the review?
I read the review for Fentanyl Blues, but I have not read the review for the album.
I haven't did that one yet. But for the music video, was it okay? You got anything you got to throw at me, man?
I mean, man, I thought you were gonna destroy me,
Oh,
bro.
no.
You're like, here we go, another cringe effort, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I'm like,
well, you gotta.
So I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, and so I was nervous. I'm like, oh, what is he gonna say? What is he gonna say? And then you're like, I actually like it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
you gotta make it interesting on the intro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta reel them in. It can't just be business as usual.
Yeah.
You gotta show people that you actually examined it, watched it. You know what I mean? You're not just giving your basic because we all have biases. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so,
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure,
really
for sure.
do.
Yeah, no, because I mean, look, I'm just gonna be fully transparent with you, okay? We was belling through Capitol Hill. I think it might have been second or third night the album was out.
Yeah.
Old Head.
Yeah.
And I'm with a couple of the artist buddies out there. I ain't gonna mention their name. You know what I mean? We'll talk about it off the record. It's all love, you know?
Yeah.
And I say, hey man, throw that Soul the Interrogator on. And then they're like, cause they in their freestyle mode. You know what I mean? So they not really trying to hear songs. They trying to having beers, freestyling, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But I was serious.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, throw that on. Right? Because Mojo just dropped.
Yeah.
Old Head just dropped.
Yeah.
The word is out, and I ain't heard it yet.
Yeah.
throw that on real quick. You know what I mean? It's an EP, throw it on real quick.
Right.
So, you know, my next available opportunity, I took the time, you know, skimmed through it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty well-balanced project. I mean, honestly, like, look, when we talk about, and I don't want to talk too much, but when we talk about, you know, being lyrical, right? And then having, you know, some type of prowess, it's not always about being, you know, Cassidy or just being multi-syllabalistic and all that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need to have good delivery, have clear and concise vocab. For sure. You know what I mean? It's just a little substance. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I did want to talk about the album, you know what I'm saying, was the collabs you got on there. Okay. Right? It was, what was his name? DJ
What It Is.
What It Is, yeah. You know what I mean? And then you had another one on there.
Robbie Wood.
Yeah, Robbie Wood. Yeah. Go ahead and
Profit on Point.
Right.
And Takeover Music Collective.
Yeah, and you got that one, yeah. I listened to it all, and actually I look forward to continuing to listen to it, kind of marinate in it a little bit. Because I'm a big fan of, like, local music, you know what I mean? What are those artists from Seattle?
Yes.
All of them.
DJ What It Is, he also goes by Kamain. He's a producer, DJ out of, he lives in North Seattle. He lives in my own neighborhood, actually. Okay. He lives on 91st, right off of 99 up the street. Yeah. And, you know, I've known him for quite a while, and he makes beats. And
okay.
So
did he produce that cut?
No, he did the scratching on it.
Okay.
Now, DJ Kamain, Kamain, and Robbie Wood, who's on another song, we have a group called Risk It 206, which RSK, it stands for Robbie, Soul, and Kamain. Risk It 206. And we released a single a couple of years ago called Change the Game. And Kamain had produced it. And so my thought process on this project was I'm only going to collab with people that I'm in a crew with. So with DJ What It Is, I'm in Risk It 206 with him, same with Robbie Wood. Okay. And Profit on Point, I'm in a group called Saber with him. Okay. And we did an album called Saber Truth, or an EP, a 5-song EP that I produced.
Just a duo?
Yeah, it's just a duo. And that's more faith-based music. Okay. So I do a little bit of faith-based music too.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And then Takeover Music Collective, obviously. Yeah. I was insistent on every person that is in Takeover Music Collective being on the song.
On the album?
Yeah, on that last, very last song is called Last Rites.
Right.
And Jay Ooze, he couldn't come in to do his verse. He's just been tied down with some life and life's terms. So I said, I got an idea. I want you to call me on the phone. I want you to say this. So he said this, and then I dialogue back with him. It sounds like a phone conversation at the beginning. So that was my way to involve him. I had every single person in Takeover on this song.
Let's go. Yeah, see, that's come on, man. Yeah. Hey, look, I just got to applaud you. You know what I mean? Because, look, when local artists come out with a project, I mean, I thought the album cover was dope. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a well-balanced body of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of people, like Corey Tate, Grinch, some other people that I've heard it said this is my best work. And
so this isn't your first album?
No. No.
Bro, all right, just take us through the discography real quick.
Okay, so 93, I had an EP called Project Nomad.
Okay, hold on. So this album is number what?
This is the first one.
No, the old head. This is album number.
Let me see. If you include all my group, solo album wise, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be my 5th solo.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So, but I also have several group albums. I have a mixtape. It would be number 8 or 9.
Okay.
There, so
for sure.
That's why it's called Old Head, because I've been doing this for so long.
Right.
I'm not like the old rookie, you know.
Right.
Look,
because when I heard the title, I was like, and look, because when I just seen the cover, I was like, so the Interrogator, Old Head. I was like, man, that gotta be a cool ass nigga, dog. To just be like, yeah, nigga, Old Head, y'all know what it is, man. Respect this, you know.
Because look,
I got people calling me OG already, and I take offense to it. I'm like, motherfucker, I was just 29. You know what I mean? Don't call me OG yet.
Yeah. I used to fight. I used to dye my beard and all that stuff. Yeah. I was like, when I turned 50, I said, I'm just going to... And you'd have these rappers that say, you old heads, all you listen to is DJ Premier, boom, bap beats, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, you know what?
What do you have to say to that? To the people that say that? To say you're too old to rap and all that. What's your message to that?
If you look at Nas, he's 49. and he's putting out some of the best music in his career. You know,
Right.
like Verses. If you listen on the song Old Head, I said Griselda brought that grimy boom bap to the forefront, and Verses made the OGs win. They on the tour bus because Verses, all these old school cats came together and was doing Verses, and now they're back. They're relevant.
Right.
Again,
Exactly.
You know, LL Cool J does the Rock the Bells tournament, and he's coming out with a new album that Q-Tip produced, and it's fire. And he's got all these OGs coming out. Run DMC came back together to do a concert for Rock the Bells. You know what I'm saying? And it was like you saw those two up there. These guys are like 60-something years old, and they're up there rapping, and you could hear the crowd rapping with them. These young kids rapping with them every bar for bar. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for people who say that old people, like, you're gonna put an age limit on rap, that's you don't see
silly.
any other genre of music where that happens.
Right.
Rock music, you got the Rolling Stones, you got Metallica, you got
most of these niggas are old. You know what I mean?
Paul McCartney, who's like 80 years old and he's still touring and selling records.
Right.
Jazz, all these other genres, country music.
Right.
These guys, there's no age limit on it.
Right,
Why does there need to be an age limit on hip hop?
Right.
I mean, we're a young genre. We're only 50 years old, but it's like I look at it like the old guys are putting out some really good music still.
Right.
Like, and it just trips me out. Big Daddy Kane, for instance, that guy comes out, periodically. He'll come out and spit some bars, and you're just like, damn.
Right.
Slick Rick, I opened up for him a couple years ago at Numos, and that dude had the crowd eating out of his hand. So if he's too old and he's rocking that's not to say there isn't room for the next generation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I used to have this prejudice towards the younger generation because I felt like they weren't listening to because see, we came from an era where we listened to our OGs and we got inspiration from them, and they're kind of like, a lot of new guys are like, well, why would I want to listen to y'all when all you guys do is shit on our music, And so I had to take a more of an objective stance and really just listen to it and put my biases aside.
Yeah.
And I found that there's some young kids that are just amazing. Like in Seattle or Tacoma, A-Flex.
Okay.
Young kid. He just came out with an album and it's bananas.
Really?
That kid is filthy.
What, he's like 8? He's younger than 18?
No, he's in his 20s.
Okay.
He's over 21.
A-Flex?
A-Flex.
Okay,
AFLEXX.
Okay.
Yeah, new kid. So, it's just like when I can just stop and put my... Because, like, I'm going to be real. There's a lot of people that look at my age and my skin color, and they just go, I tell them I rap, and they give me that side eye, like...
Well, what's the dude...
But then when they hear me, they're like, damn!
Right.
So I need to give these kids the same kind of, like, objectivity where I just step back and say, okay, I'm going to listen.
Consideration.
Yeah, and I listen to what they're saying. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is dope. Now, is there some younger kids that spit some trash? Absolutely, but there's some OGs that spit some trash.
Right.
So it's all, so I learned to kind of put that prejudice down and just give everybody a chance because there's enough room for all of us to eat at this table. You know what I'm saying? So, so young head, old head, I don't care. Let's collab. You know, if it's dope music's dope music.
Exactly.
I don't care about none of the other stuff. So.
And then, hip hop is a lifestyle, man.
Yeah.
It's a way of life. And you know what? I want to say this, man. I actually appreciate the fact that even though Old Head didn't have any wrong beats, he still made the deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That shows, competence in the field of like that team effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just think, half the time I have a hard time getting niggas to just show up on time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not you. You can be late because I asked you to be here. You know what I mean? But niggas that I hire, hey, bruh, this shit non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember a little earlier you mentioned that you opened up for who was it at Numos?
Slick Rick.
Slick Rick. Okay. What, in your opinion, give me your experience in venues in Seattle.
Well, if I can be honest, there's a lot of gatekeepers that only will book certain people.
Right.
And it gets really hard, which has kind of developed into this pay to play type thing, which really sucks. I'm just gonna be the first to say it.
Yeah.
I don't support that.
Right.
I believe in making money together and not off of somebody.
Right.
And honestly, a promoter's job is to promote, and an artist's job is to come up and do their songs.
Right.
That's how the dynamic
exactly.
works. And it's supposed to be cohesive. And now what it's doing is these promoters, I call them, they're more like booking agents. Mm-hmm. They book these artists, make them pay $250 for 50 tickets, and then they got to go out and sell these tickets to make their money back. And it's like you're putting them under the knife. You're making them do your job because they have to go out and sell these tickets. Yeah, and pay for it.
Wow.
And also you have the threat of losing your slot if you can't sell a certain amount of tickets.
Right.
And they take your money anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. See, you know what? I must have had one show I did like that, and then I didn't have good words for the promoter the next time.
Yeah. No, I see. And here's the thing: if you book me for a show, I'm going to work hard for it. I'm going to get my people out. But it's ultimately your job to promote your show.
Right.
And really, what I'm doing as an artist is I'm fan building. So I'm trying to come out. If I'm opening up for a big name art act, I'm trying to say, hey, this is who I am. Check me out. I know you're here to see this guy, but, you know, rock with me for a minute.
Right.
And so there are some really good promoters out here.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had the distinct pleasure of working with a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I've had the displeasure of working with some of these so-called promoters that, you know, I refuse to buy tickets. I'll never do that.
Really?
If you give me a stack of tickets, I'll go out and sell them.
Yeah.
But if you try to get me to
as a condition,
I mean, well, not as a condition. I like when I opened up for Slick Rick, I was told I didn't have to sell a single ticket, but I said, "Hey, give me 60 tickets. I'm gonna go out." And I went out and I sold them.
Right.
And I had no problem selling tickets.
Yeah.
You know, I offered to do that just because for me, it's a way that I can interact with my people and engage and but I didn't have to.
Well,
all I had to do was show up, do my performance, and go home.
Right.
You know, and so, but I've opened up for DOS Effects. I've opened up for Cannabis. I've opened up for Sea Race Walls. I've opened up for, like I said, Slick Rick. I've done shows with Macklemore before he got big.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, and then I've done the local shows too. And I found that when we do local shows, mm-hmm. Like I would put together my own show at High Dive. Mm-hmm. High Dive's a good spot for me. Yeah. And I would book nothing but local acts. We'd all sell tickets. We'd pack that motherfucker out and we'd have a great show.
Right.
Takeover Music Collective, we did a show at High Dive in January and it was same thing.
Right.
Local acts. We packed it out. We had a good time. Everybody got paid. Everybody got taken care of, and it was all good.
Right.
There was no stipulation. It wasn't like, hey, pay me $250 to get on my show and to sell tickets to make me money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I argue with this.
And ultimately, they don't even care if you sell the tickets. They just want the money.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Because when no one ends up showing up, it's like, yeah, well, there you go.
And what they end up doing is taking that money and giving it to the artists, the big artists they booked.
Right.
You know? And like instead of getting sponsorship and having people that are going to invest in your company as a promoter to help pay for these things on your own,
right?
You want us to pay for it to bring this guy out who is your favorite rapper growing up in high school, so you could take a picture with him and say on your social media, say Boss Moves,
right? I'm
chilling with X-Rated, Boss Moves, whatever. It's just like it's corny to me.
Yeah. There has to be a better system in place because there's no penal code in hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or in the music industry. You know what I mean.
Right.
So the ethics are the lines are being crossed constantly. You know what I mean.
I agree.
But I did have a question. When you mentioned Seattle gatekeepers, Seattle rap in the national context, right? Like this is the question I had just this morning. What would you say that hip hop in Seattle has had any impact on hip hop at large?
In small pockets, yeah.
Yeah.
You got Sir Mix a lot. Mm-hmm. Even before Baby got back, he had a big West Coast following. All of his records went gold. He wasn't just some one trick pony.
Right.
And it was
you were
just,
around back during
yeah,
that era?
I lived in Cali when Square Dance Rap first came out.
Oh,
and
shit.
I heard it, and I was like, "Oh, this is dope!" You know, he had the little squeaky voice and all.
Right.
You know, I moved up to Seattle in '85, and all of a sudden I hear Posse on Broadway around '86, and I go, "Yo, it's doing the El Camino's beating."
How old were you then?
'86. I was 13.
Oh shit.
86, 87.
Yeah,
13,
so you were
14.
old enough to know what was going on.
So
you know
I go,
what I mean?
"Yo, who's that? That song is dope." And they go, "Oh, that's Sir Mix-a-Lot." And I go, "What? The guy from Square Dance Rap?" And they was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "He's from here?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my God," it blew my mind.
Right,
I was from Cali, and I'd heard of him, and I was a fan of Sir Mix-a-Lot. And so yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot's one of them. You know, he got some national exposure.
Yeah.
And you know, like Baby Got Back, maybe his quote unquote one hit wonder, his one Grammy. But that guy is making millions of dollars off that song because of the licensing, and he owns the publishing to that song. And so anytime you see a commercial that has Baby Got Back on it,
Nicki Minaj spin off on
Nicki Minaj, yeah, the stipulation for that is,
and I hate that song.
He wanted to produce a track, so he got paid off of that. You know, Target had a song called "Baby Got Backpack" and Sir Mix-a-Lot's rap.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And he got paid off that. So I mean, this guy is his influence. It's there. You know, and then
will you say it makes up for the gap between him and Macklemore? Is there any notable rapper from Seattle between that era of Mix-a-Lot and Macklemore?
I can't say there really is. There's a lot of producers.
Because, you know, in the urban side
Diggable Planets, Ish. From Diggable Planets. He went to Garfield with me. He was class of 90. I was class of 91. But, yeah, Ishmael Butler. Shout out Ish. He went by Butterfly in Diggable Planets. And they had that song, Cool Like That. I'm cool. Yeah. So that was a song that blew up. Okay. But he joined up with two other people that were from out of state. But that was a good look.
Seattle artist,
man,
bro.
that was dope.
Yeah, bro, absolutely.
So
Diggable Planets, I mean, you still hear that. Yeah. You know what I mean? You still hear that score, you know what I mean?
There was a group called Six in the Clip in Seattle in the early 90s. They were really hot. There were 6 guys.
Six in the Clip?
Yeah, and they got signed by Hollywood Records, which is owned by Disney. And they had to change their name because they thought it was too violent of a name. So they changed their name to Pros and Concepts. It came out with a couple albums. It didn't really make the impact that they were hoping, but they got some national exposure. Yeah. But yeah, beyond that, there's just like, if you look at, I mean, of course we got Macklemore, there's Lil Mosey, and then there's a slew of Seattle producers that have made a huge impact. You got Jake One. I don't know if you're familiar with WWE wrestling. John Cena's theme music that was produced by Jake One. So anytime you hear
that
that's
shit
Jake
is so
One.
epic, bro. Yeah. I pulled that up just to get on,
yeah. So I mean, now Jake One got screwed financially out of that deal, but still, that was Jake One.
But he didn't get no credit.
I mean, no, he did, and he got paid. But if he was in charge of his publishing like he normally is,
his points were off.
His points were way off. I think he got like 20 racks. I could be wrong, and Jake, I apologize if I got that wrong, but I think he got 20 racks for the song, and didn't get any residuals after that.
Right.
If his points were on, if he was on point, or the WWE didn't rape him, the dude would be a multimillionaire, because every single time you hear that song, he should be getting paid,
man.
But Jake One's another one. Vitamin D. Yeah. Another. Jake One's got Grammys. Vitamin D's got, worked with some very notable people. I went to Garfield with Vida.
Okay. We're trying to get Vida on the block, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to climb the charts, though. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of up there.
Well, that's Derek to me, man. That's my homie. Him and B Self. They were
B Self.
Ghetto Children.
So you know about Tribal and that whole,
of course,
do the math and all that. You know what that is.
I was around, like, one of the owners of Tribal, one of the minor owners, this dude Ben Camp, Novocaine 132. He's a good friend of mine. I'm friends with all those guys, right? Yeah. And so, I used to do show, like, me and Ghetto Children. We did our first show together. You know, it's like that. And I used to go to Vito's basement apartment when he lived with his mom in the CD, and I'd record over there sometimes.
Yeah, what block he was on in the CD?
Shit, I can't remember. It's over near the the post office, because I normally recorded at this spot called Let's Do This Productions. Is the owner of that was if you've eaten at Ezel's. Ezel Stevens was the original owner of Ezel's.
Okay.
His brother was Sam Stevens. He owned Let's Do This Production. Yeah, I knew all of those guys.
You knew Ezel?
Yeah, I worked for him. I know his whole family. I know his whole family.
Crazy.
I know his former business partner's whole family. Yeah, I'm like right now. Me and Darnell Rudd. Darnell is the owner of. He's the owner. Louis Rudd's brother. They wanted to do a song and a commercial for Ezel's. We did the song, and for some reason we kind of came at this weird impasse with just some miscommunications. We need to pick that back up, but they came to me and asked me if I wanted to do the song in the commercial. I was like, yeah, let's do it, because I love fried chicken. I ain't gonna lie.
Listen, but before I came back to Seattle, I was just like, dude, I need Ezel's, because no chicken spot sells baked beans. No chicken spot sells baked beans. You know what I mean? And that's enough for me. I don't give me the baked beans. I don't want the pinto beans. You know what I mean?
But anyway, back to the producers aspect. You got Bean One. He's another big name producer. You got Sabzi. You got D-Sane. You got all these
Common Market.
That's
Sabzi.
Yeah, Sabzi and Ross Ion. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to clear up a misconception real quick, because I have this song on my album called Pearl Tongue, and it's a diss track, and it's a diss track to this dude named Lil Chris, and because he said some slick shit to me, and this is hip hop, and I don't let that shit roll off my back.
Right.
But I have this bar in there where I said, back you go, Tobacco Road. You don't really want smoke. You playing chess. I'm playing chess. You playing tic-tac-toe. Somebody thought that I was talking about Sabzi and Ross Ion, and I was like, no, absolutely not.
Why would they make that connection?
Yeah, no, well, because their album, Common Market, was called Tobacco Road.
Oh,
and
snap.
So, yeah. What I was trying to do was do a correlation between tobacco and smoke, you know? And so, Sabzi, Ross Ion, if you're listening and you hear that song, in no way, shape, or form am I dissing you. They probably haven't heard it, and that's probably fine.
We're just trying to get out in front of that thing.
Yeah, I just need it anyway. Yeah, so there's a lot of, and then you got. Sorry, I know this is going a little long-winded. You got these artists that kind of was climbing the ladder to get to that next level, and their momentum just stopped for whatever reason. I don't know. But,
I like how you put it earlier, life on life terms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it just stopped and got stunted, and the industry just isn't checking for Seattle hip hop.
Right. Why is that?
I don't know. Because every genre you go to, you got Cali. Cali had a big explosion. Yeah. New York, of course, that's the mecca of hip hop, but down south, Atlanta, Florida, Memphis, like all these pockets of hip hop have had these big explosions, and Seattle has
even Chicago has drill music now.
Chicago, well, I mean, if you got Kanye, you got Common, you got I mean, Detroit.
That's all you got to say.
Detroit had a big explosion. Why doesn't Seattle, Oregon, and Canada have that?
Because look, I asked Wildcard, a Wildcard QN. He's originally from the LA area, but he spent some time in Spokane. And I said, when you think of West Coast hip hop, do you think of Seattle and Portland? Or even the Bay for that matter,
Right.
And he says, yeah, he thinks so. I mean, what would you say? Would you say when you think of West Coast hip hop, do you honestly think Portland hip hop?
No.
Who's from Portland? No shot to the Portland rappers.
Well, I mean, there's a lot like Cool Nuts. There's a lot of dope Portland rappers out there. But when I think of West Coast, I typically think of Cali.
Right.
But because I consider us to be the Northwest. Right. But so when you say Northwest, I'm like, oh, my ears perk up. I know what you're talking about. But if you say West Coast, we typically are. Washington, Oregon, and California is the West Coast of the United States.
Technically.
And we could say we're top of the West or whatever.
Right. But I think Pacific Northwest is a appropriate distinction.
Sure.
You know what I mean, from the West Coast. Respectively, right? Because Seattle is not LA, okay?
Right.
it's not San Francisco, even though I think Seattle and San Francisco got some type of thing going on. You know what I mean? People from both music scenes kind of are familiar with the politics of the music scene.
Right.
A little more than most. I just kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's up. You know, because the local music scene, what I was hearing coming out of Seattle is what helped gravitate me coming up here. You know what I mean? You know, when Macklemore dropped The Town. Yeah. And then, you know, some of the stuff that Seattle Weekly was spinning off of, it was the most creative and neglected headlines that I was seeing out of any city in the country. You know what I mean? Definitely. So, you know, to me, it's a privilege to be here. You know what I mean? So real quick, man, Soul the Interrogator. The meaning behind the alias. Come on, man. Clear the air, man.
This is going to be a little long. So, okay, back when I was going to Garfield, my homies, you know, I hung around predominantly black people, and I rapped, and I did graffiti and all that. So they used to call him, they say, oh, that white boy got soul. Yeah. And I kicked it with some GDs, and they used the term, like, dog back then. Yeah. So they called me Soul Dog. Yeah. So I kind of adapted that moniker as my rap name. Before that, it was MC Shonsky D back in the 80s.
Oh, like,
right. You know.
It was fitting for the time.
Yeah,
you know?
And so soul for me was like a badge of honor. I'm like, you know, I'll take that.
Yeah.
White boy with soul. Okay. Yeah. I didn't come up with that name.
Right.
You know, and so so Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, all these guys with Dog came out, and this was later on, and I was kind of like, now my name's not so original. Yeah. You know, because there wasn't nobody named Dog back when I was, like, my first project was called Project Nomad, and that was before Snoop and all them, and I was going by Soul Dog back then. Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, I was thinking about changing my name, and me and the homies were watching wrestling. We're watching WWF, watching Monday Night Raw, and there was this group called the Truth Commission, and they had this big, menacing dude named Kurgan the Interrogator, and I was a battle rapper. And so my homie was like, and we were freestyling, and he called me Soul the Interrogator, and it just stuck. A light bulb came on, and we're like, damn, it actually sounds kind of good. Right. And so I started working with it, and people are like, some people go, what are you, a cop or something? And I'm like, no, I aggressively seek the truth out of battle rapping, you know.
Oh, is it?
And so, and so it just kind of stuck.
Okay. And, now, how far back does that go?
96.
Oh, shit. So you've been Soul the Interrogator for more than half my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I became Soul Dog in 1989.
Oh, so you ran with that for a little minute.
Yeah, 1989 to 96, I was Soul Dog.
You dropped any projects under that title?
Yeah, Project Soul Dog. I had an EP called Project Nomad, which right now it's not in circulation. I have all my masters. I'm trying to get those remixed and put it out. Yeah, re-put it out. So I'm hitting up RC.
You had different rigs back then.
Yeah. I mean? Things were different. We recorded on ADATs and reel to reel and stuff like that. So I had a project under that called Project Nomad, and I produced it. And me and Sam Stevens, rest in peace, produced that. And after that it was all Soul the Interrogator. My next project was in 2004, and that was called Beyond All Means. That was under Soul the Interrogator. Then I had Product, and then Impervious, and then now Old Head. And then I have a project right now that it's kind of sitting in developmental hell because we can't get the music files right because they got a new recording done, so we're having issues getting it transformed. But it's called Few and Far Between, because it takes me a while to put out albums. Right. So when that one comes out, it's going to be a project I worked on before Old Head, but it's going to come out after Old Head. Yeah. So So yeah.
I mean, it works like that.
So that's how Soul the Interrogator came about. Yeah. And I've been thinking about calling myself Old Head Soul, and everybody's like, you're already established as Soul the Interrogator. Don't change your name, then you got to start all over again.
Yeah. See, what I like about it is it's distinct.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I got a buddy, a rapper buddy named Bones. Okay. I'm like, come on, dude, you got to put a Mr. Bones, a Biggity Bones, and make it distinct. Yeah. Because there's like 50 to 100 other artists named Bones. I mean, come on. But Soul the Interrogator.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
If there's another Soul the Interrogator, chances are he's probably like in fucking Germany or some shit. You know what I mean? He's like in another country somewhere on another continent. Like,
there's a death metal band called Interrogator,
but not Soul.
Right, exactly. So that's as close as it gets. Yeah, nobody has a name as distinct as mine. So
right. So how do you listen to music? Are you a streaming guy or are you like the digital download?
I am a physical guy.
So you like the album?
Yeah.
Give me the CD.
CD, cassette, album. Because here's how I used to do it. I used to buy records like Public Enemy, Ice-T, and they used to have, in the linear notes, they'd have the lyrics.
Right.
So I would sit down in my room, put my headphones on, don't nobody call me, don't bother me. And I would sit there and listen to the album from track 1, flip the tape over all the way to the last track, reading the lyrics, and I'd study it.
Wow.
And that would stay in my rotation. I felt like I had a tangible piece of this person's art.
Right.
I had that. It was like this connection I had with artists. And Ice-T just recently talked about it. If you watch online, he's releasing a greatest hits album, and he's doing it all physical, no digital streaming, and it's a three disc album. So and that's the type of listener I am.
Right.
I like to sit down.
Now, has Old Head got a physical copy?
Not yet. I'm working on it. I'm going to get cassettes and
get the cassettes, man, and put the lyrics with them, man. You know what I mean?
It's expensive though.
No doubt.
So I gotta work up to that. But
right.
I will have some CDs out here pretty soon. I got them
for sure. Or, you know, you can do it like Nipsey did. Not to cut you off. Do it like Nipsey did in the sense of, you know, there was only so many copies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they were priced to kind of like recoup everything.
Right. So I sell a lot of physicals at shows, you know.
Okay, right.
But I haven't got physicals for this album yet. So even now with streaming or digital download, I still want to listen to the album. Right. So I do a lot of my listening when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a passive listener, I don't like doing that. I like to listen to what these rappers are talking about. I like to hear the beats. I like to feel it.
You like to embrace.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
That's the type of listener I am. I get an emotional response from music that I listen to. A lot of people nowadays are about vibes. You know, it's just a vibe. Exactly. So they just put in their headphones. They don't really care what they're rapping about. They just want to hear the vibe.
Exactly.
I'm not that dude.
Right.
You know, you gotta be saying something poignant and good for me to really fuck with it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Like, look, man, I mean, artists need to know, man, you know, we paying attention out here. You know what I mean? And then particularly for artists, because we see other people do, we get the inspiration from seeing other artists do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, to undermine that, you know what I mean, is almost disrespectful to the art. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
And then, you know, look, I'm a 90s baby, so I'm thankful that I took to a lot of the original, you know what I'm saying, tradition of the culture, man, because and just, you know, a lot of you know, just growing up in LA, you know what I mean, it's that urban hip hop lifestyle that's just kind of woven in. You've lived out there, you know what it is. I mean, I've been to Long Beach too. I went to middle school in Long Beach.
Okay. What's up?
Yeah, so I would never live in Long Beach today because I just think there's like, look, I wouldn't live in Long Beach today just for the parking because there's nowhere to park.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I want to go back and live in Catalina because I can just take a boat over there, drive golf carts everywhere. You ain't got to worry about parking and traffic. You know what I'm saying? It's
that's the life right there.
Yeah,
for sure. So, look, I got a million more questions I could ask you, but I got to, like, you know what I mean, kind of keep it in the time frame. Gabriel Teodoro said, when we interviewed him back in, 2018, 2017, he said, there was never this idea that you could blow up out of Seattle. Would you agree with that?
I mean, we all wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like the stigma is you got to move out of town to blow up.
Right.
And Mosey had to do that. He moved to LA and then he blew up that way.
Right. Oh, so he didn't blow up out of here.
No. He blew up. He was already living out of town by the time he blew up. So.
Because look, the way Macklemore blew up, he blew up bigger than most independent artists altogether, right? Not just from Seattle.
He was an enigma, man. I don't know. It was crazy. He started doing the high school circuit.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I knew him back when he was Professor Macklemore. We used to do little shows together.
Right.
You know, and him and XP, they were step cousins. And, you know, we do Candid's a rapper in Old Dominion. He'd do this monthly show called The Corner down at the Rendezvous Jewel Box down in downtown Seattle. I used to do shows with him there. And, you know, and all of a sudden he's doing him and Ryan Lewis are doing the high school circuit. And he's blowing up off. He's getting this huge name. And I'm like, this is crazy how it's working. And like, it's working. You know, like Ray Dalton, who did Can't Hold Us, he was supposed to be on my album Impervious. He's like, oh, Macklemore called me and wants me to come sing this song with him. I'm like, that's dope. And he goes and he sings Can't Hold Us, and I heard it. I was like, wow, this is really good. I heard this before it came out. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And then he did a show with Macklemore at Key Arena. Nope. No more. He called me up and said, yeah, I'm not doing more local collabs. Best of luck on your career. But
who said that?
Ray Dalton.
No.
And it's okay. He got a taste of that limelight and that fame. He was like, I'm about to go in this direction.
But you know, see, and that's, you know, like, look, if I seen Macklemore today, what I would say is, where is the Seattle music scene?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, he's the one that inspired my vision for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the town music video.
Yeah.
Because he displayed a level of camaraderie and unity on the Seattle music scene that I was trying to build in Pasadena. But Pasadena is so far something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? That people just didn't take to.
Right.
So
if you look at The Heist, his
wonderful album.
It's not his first album. It's his third or second or third or something. Anyway, if you look at The Heist, it's all local artists on that album.
Right. Even Evan Roman.
Yeah. He had all these local artists, local producers, local
He even had an instrumental song on the album.
And all those were Seattle artists. And the way a lot of people in Seattle look at it is like, we helped elevate you to this next level.
Yeah.
And now he does shows in Numos. He loves the town, blah, blah, blah. But he hasn't done, to his credit and his defense, he doesn't owe anybody anything.
Right.
He doesn't owe anybody shit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, you know, we helped elevate you. Now you're working with these mainstream artists over there that aren't Seattle now. Right. Even though he'll still come back and do a free show at Numos once a year. He does, you know, he does a lot of work in the, you know, here and stuff. But
look, in order to satisfy my criteria, which, you know, it's all subjective, I need to see you pull up at Washington Hall one time, man. Like, you know, I need to see you, like, in the CD.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to see you at Climate Pledge. You know what I'm saying? I want to see you, like, outside of the Seahawks Stadium or something, you know? I want to see you just, like, in passing. But, you know, Macklemore, he's big, man. He's doing shows in Australia and all that stuff.
I can't. For me, personally, I can't. I'm not mad at him.
So would you say he's like a Capitol Hill kid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
yeah, definitely. He was definitely a Capitol Hill kid.
Yeah, because look, when we first got here, we was like, we were in Capitol Hill and we were at Cal Anderson. And then me and the homie Don was like, this is where Macklemore grew up? And then we was just like, yeah, I guess so. And then we looked at each other, and the homie was like, man, Mac was bad, huh? Because, you know, the area is kind of, you know, it's kind of crazy. It can get crazy, you know?
Yeah, he went to Nathan Hale.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's way out north.
Yeah.
I think some people have said that he went to Garfield for a little while.
Right. I think I've heard that.
And I think he transferred to Nathan Hale.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like, bro, you left Garfield to go to Nathan Hale? I was like, no disrespect to Nathan Hale, but I loved Garfield High School. That was my shit.
Right there in the middle of the hood.
Oh,
you feel me?
I loved it. I loved going to Garfield. It was, man, I have such fond memories of Garfield. And you know, there's definitely a rivalry because it's a rival school. So I'm like,
right. Oh, so Nathan Hale is a rivalry school.
Well, yeah, of course.
You guys play each other?
Yeah, we had Nathan Hale, Roosevelt,
West Seattle?
Ingram. No, in our division, it was Franklin. That was our number one rival.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
It was Franklin, Blanchette, which was a private school, but they were still in our division. Roosevelt, Ingram, and Nathan Hale. And I hated all those schools. And Ballard High School.
Oh, okay.
I hated all those schools because I was a Garfield Bulldog. So I'm like, bro, you left Garfield to go to Hale?
Oh,
like,
man. fuck out of here.
Fuck out of here. You know, I say that jokingly.
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with anything
Right.
from there.
Well, I mean, coming from Pasadena, you know, the other high school, you know, turkey tussle, man. If you ain't on this side, go over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to high school rivalries, we get it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And then real quick, man, there's a couple more things I wanted to run by. Sure. Westlake and Pine.
Okay.
Right? So I know you was around during early days of hip hop, you know what I'm saying, in downtown Seattle, right? How significant was Westlake and Pine to Seattle music?
You mean that little area where they got the stage and all that stuff right across from
I'm thinking possibly even before that was built, right? Like all that's new, isn't it?
It was built, it was complete around 1990, 89, 90.
Oh, okay. No, that's old then.
Yeah. But yeah, before that, it was just, you know, some old office buildings down there. I vaguely remember it. And there wasn't.
So was Westlake known for like the outdoor festivities more so than like pubs and clubs that might have been hosting live?
Maybe. You know, like, well, when I was coming up, there was an ordinance in the city. There was like no rap shows.
Really?
Yeah, we weren't. So
I remember Rufio had mentioned that.
Yeah, we had to, if we wanted to do a hip hop show, we had to rent a boat, do a boat show, or we had to rent a VFW hall, do a VFW show, or we had to do a show outdoors. You know, I mean, that was just.
Well, you had to rent a boat. Imagine that. Like, if you want to throw an event up, you got to rent a boat.
So, I mean, it would be a big boat.
Right.
You know, we throw a big old boat.
Well,
party.
which means it's going to be more than you bargained for. You
know
what I mean?
Now you got a captive audience. You know, they're there to party and stuff like that. But if you're rapping, you know, that's just what we had to do. We had to circumnavigate this ordinance that the city had because there was this prejudice because they said rap music only brings violence and you know and blah blah blah.
Wow.
So there was a couple places that would kind of, you know, they would do like a certain night and then sneak an artist in and they would perform. Like the Rebar was pretty good about that.
Okay.
But yeah, beyond that, it was all other genres of music, and hip hop was that I think really hindered our growth also as far as like getting the industry to take notice of us.
Right.
You know? So. Yeah, that's what we had to do, or we just freestyle down on the block.
Right.
You know. So
can't stop that.
Going down to Pine.
Right.
Down where the McDonald's is, it was a fucking zoo down there. You know, there was people selling crack down there, and we're just out there, you know, freestyling. But you're always watching your back too. It was pretty dangerous area. It still is. It's crazy,
man.
Yeah.
It is. Look, when I first got to Seattle, I'm on 3rd right there at the bus stop, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not knowing the surroundings. I'm not really knowing where I'm at.
Right.
But I noticed, I'm just like, damn, I had to do like this more than a couple times. You know, I had to like swivel my head like kind of quick, kind of swiftly.
Right.
And then I had to tell the homie, I elbowed the homie and I was like, hey man, this area is kind of fast, huh? Yeah, but I didn't say like, oh, it's dangerous, but I just said, man, this area's kind of fast, huh? Yeah. The homie's like, yeah, bro, I just seen woo. I was just like, yeah, man, let's get on this bus. Yeah. You know, but yeah, you know, 3rd and Pine, that shit dangerous to this day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, earlier you had mentioned you had opened for Cannabis.
Yeah.
Right. Now look, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, right? But I seen a clip where he was freestyle battling somebody, and he busted out the notepad. Yeah. And look, as a hip hop fanatic, that was a career ender right there. Yeah. From a lyricist point of view. Yeah. You know what I mean? What's your take on that?
He was at a pretty low point in his career. I have a lot of respect for Cannabis as an artist. I think he's dope. But yeah, I kind of looked at that and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Did you just do that?
Yeah, he was rapping. I believe he was rapping Disaster.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
And yeah, he pulled
you can't
that
fuck with Disaster, right?
And I
not to say Cannabis, not to take nothing from Cannabis, but
well, yeah. Again, he was at a really low point in his career, and normally I never saw him do something like that. But when he pulled that back, I was like, bro, just take the L.
You know what I'm saying? With grace, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we still respect you, bro. Like,
I mean, the bars were dope what he wrote down, but I'm like, if you can't remember him, you can't remember him. It's just. Plus, Diz was eating him up anyway, so I'm like, bro, just take the L, just call it. Right. You know, hopefully, you know, my hope was that a lot of people would forget about it, but I think he retired shortly after that. I think he joined the military or something that, and then
Right.
He came back out, and I think he's trying to do music again. But
Okay.
In my personal opinion, as much as big a fan of LL Cool J as I am, I think Cannabis destroyed him in second round knockout.
Really?
Yeah, if you think about verbally, he.
Well, I mean, you know, LL Cool J.
LL Cool J had the machine behind him.
Yeah, but also, and I got to be careful here. You know what I mean? Because LL Cool J is one of them dudes. Like, we talk about hip hop, right?
Yeah.
But like, growing up, like we never really, in my generation, we never revered LL so much as an MC. Right, he was singing. He made R&B songs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and albeit great songs. I can't say that he's dropped a whack album.
Yeah,
I can't say I listened to all his albums, but I never heard nothing whack from LL Cool J. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we never. But you know, we hear the old school hip hop he did. You know what I mean? He wasn't whack.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
But that's not who my generation knows him to be. You know what I mean? So, in terms of rapping against cannabis, it's like. I think he's going up against the wrong dude, but that was all pre-existing politics.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, are you into sports at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll save it for the next one because, you know, sports, you know what I mean, snowball into a whole nother thing. Because, I mean, I really like what Deion's doing in Colorado. And, you don't want to bring up governor of Florida, you know what I'm saying? And that, you know what I mean? Because look, man, we don't have to talk about it. But I want to say this. I saw the video, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, my niggas touchdown in Florida, okay, because I had just got back from Florida. And at the end of the video, you say, right? And then I was just like, and my face instantly just was like, I was just like, well, why'd he say that? You know what I mean? But at that point, like, look, even just from that time, you know what I mean? I've gotten a lot of context from that. That was actually a big moment for me.
Yeah.
Quiet as kept, because I didn't understand at that point. Before that happened, I didn't understand liberal conservative. I wasn't that politically knowledgeable. But once I understood that, I'm like, oh. And so that's who Ron DeSantis was for me, was somebody who's giving me contrast. You know what I mean? So, you know, whether we agree with his policies or not, you know what I mean? I think that's more so beside the point. Because, I mean, look, you might like Ford, I like Dodge. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that we can't be friends? You know what I mean? Like type shit. You know, so you know, I don't like to even people that I disagree with wholeheartedly. You know what I mean? I still know how to, you know, coexist and, you know what I mean, agree to disagree and have, you know, just differing opinions. You know what I'm saying? I like to understand people's reasoning because I like to challenge my own. Like, okay, well, have I thought about it like that? You know what I mean? But I also understand, you know, it's not comfortable to talk about, you know what I mean? Because, you know, we talking about people that affect, you know, people's lives, you know, for better or worse, you know what I mean? So, you know, I try to keep the political stuff minimized, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to dealing with particularly artists, you know what I mean? Because artists got their own story to tell, you know what I'm saying? And right now in the local music scene, I think that there's just no foundation. You know what I mean? We need a foundation where our full-fledged artist development center, people can come check in, sit down, get a cup of coffee, book some studio time, sit down, do some networking, you know what I mean? Not be rushed out the door, you know what I mean? 24/7 operation. And the vision is there, man. We just got to, you know, it all starts with this. You know what I mean? So the Interrogator coming through, you know what I mean? I appreciate you taking time out your day, you know what I mean? And I appreciate how we're able to just kind of, you know, talk about this, you know what I mean? Because, like, at the end of the day, I don't got nothing against you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know you, don't know me. You know what I mean?
I didn't know you. I was just a comment. I'm like, okay.
He's just another, just motherfucker in the comments. You know what I mean? So, but you know, because at that time, you know, we had already did an interview with Ready Ron, and we were aware of Takeover Music, but you know, there's still members I don't know. You know what I mean? Like Angie Stacks, like
she's so dope.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't have like a hard visual on who she is. Like, if I pass her in the street, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? If I see Mojo in the streets, I'm already confusing other people for Mojo. I'm like, oh, you Mojo?
Didn't you do an interview with Mojo too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got one with Mojo, but that was later. So wait. So we did the one with Mojo. I think that was before that happened, I think.
Yeah.
Whether it was before or after.
I just didn't put you with Wilson.
Oh, you didn't make the...
I didn't make the connection. I didn't know who you... I was like, who is this guy? Yeah. So I'm like, I snapped back. I clapped back and said what I said, and I just left it alone after that. I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to be like, so.
And in all fairness, I mean, people will tell you, even on my music scene back in Pasadena, I've rubbed people the wrong way at times, man. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? So sometimes, as men, man, we got to check ourselves.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, But at the end of the day, man, it's all love.
I have conservative friends. I have conservative family. Right. And to be clear, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I believe the two-party system is. I promised I wasn't going to talk politics, but I believe the two-party system's broken. I believe they say the Democratic Party's a plantation. I believe it's two different plantations. You know, I believe in being free and coming to your own conclusion. I have my own different. My liberalism is more for social rights, so to speak, as more as to like conservative taxes and all that stuff. That's a different situation. For me. Right. Yeah,
because there's some stuff you just don't care about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I don't subscribe to Democrats or Republicans. Right. I'm an independent. So
for sure,
that's just my whole thing. So social liberal. I may be a fiscal conservative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we'll take it. Hey, that's valid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like me, I'd say that, I'm conservative in contrast to most liberals. You know what I mean? But I'm actually pretty liberal in contrast to conservatives. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I don't think that I should go to jail for having a joint. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like, I don't feel like I should be written a ticket for, like, jaywalking. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things where it's just like, no, that's too conservative. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, the liberal stuff, I'll just leave that alone. Because I don't know. It's just too touchy. It's just too touchy.
Fair enough.
But you get the gist of it. You know what I mean? So the Interrogator, man, thanks for coming through. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. It's been a tremendous honor. You know what I mean? We got to bring you back on the show, and we got to talk sports. And you know what I'm saying?
I'm down.
Get back to that. And then also, if you could plant some seeds for me, you know what I'm saying, with a lot of the, town legends, the Vidas and the Sobsies and the Blue Scholars, if you know some of those cats, just anyone from the generation, the era of the 90s, you know what I mean?
Do you know Grinch?
I got Grinch.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I know Grinch. We got an interview with Grinch. It'll always be dope to follow up.
That's the guy who has more of the connections with the Blue Scholars and the
I wanted to ask you about Rhyme Sayers too. Like Rhyme Sayers, they definitely had an impact on Seattle.
Oh sure, with Gray Skull and Boom Bap Project, absolutely,
for sure.
Shout out to Henri Osborne and JFK and Rob Castro. Shout out to Destro and Kareem and Jake One. From Boom Bap Project. Those are two Old Dominion groups right there that were. But that was a little more underground. It wasn't as much thing, but yeah. So
see, and we got to find it. See, and that's what I'm saying. I need to find those albums.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I want to study Seattle hip hop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I came here in 2017. I missed the era. You know what I'm saying? I missed the Sonics era. I missed the whole 90s.
Man.
I feel like I should at least came up in 08 or something.
I missed the Sonics. Like, I could spend a whole podcast
So you were one of the ones that actually threw something at the TV when the news came out.
Yeah, bro. I went down to City Hall and spoke my piece when we were trying to get a new arena from Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
I went down there. I was on the news and everything. Like,
really?
Yeah, I'm big on, I want the Sonics back. So I cried when, people, and then people have this small misconception about what happened, and then there's the real story.
Right.
People think, Seattle didn't care about its team, they let it go. It wasn't just that. But again, that's for another time because it's a huge
conversation
to have. And sure. I love to have that conversation.
Okay, we'll bring you back. One of these days we'll talk about that. But you were definitely upset, for the record.
Oh yes, I still am upset. I refuse to watch Oklahoma City.
Yeah, for sure.
That's when the Sonics became the Zombie Sonics. Yeah. I refuse.
Yeah, me too.
I'll never cheer for OKC.
Right.
And Portland, the Trailblazers were big. You know, that was the I-5 rivalry between the Sonics and Portland. I root for Portland every time they play Oklahoma City now. I'm going to get a ticket, go down to Rose Garden and watch the game, you know. So, but, yeah, it got to the point where I even boycotted the NBA.
So, but how about this? When the Grizzlies were in Vancouver,
yeah, was
Seattle getting some of that culture?
It was like we didn't take the Grizzlies very serious.
Oh, really?
Because you had the Lakers, the Clippers, the Blazers, the Sonics, and the Kings and the Grizzlies. Uh-huh. So the people we took serious was the Trailblazers and the Lakers. The Kings weren't any good.
Right.
The Clippers weren't any good, and neither was Vancouver. So Vancouver came in as an expansion team. We're like,
whatever.
Yeah, who are these guys?
Right.
You know. And so then they left, and I was like, oh wait, they left? They're in Memphis now.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, oh shit.
And I think it's even more disgraceful that they kept OKC in the West. Like
yeah.
Yeah. And the horrible uniforms.
Yeah.
Just everything about the franchise is distasteful. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in Oklahoma City, like, where is that? Like, you know what I mean? It's just somewhere in the middle of the country, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, look, if you want to go ahead and drop some shout outs, man, now'd be the time.
Shout out to my crew, Takeover Music Collective, Ready Ron Beats, Mojo Barnes, Seven the Panther, Double XL, Angie Stacks, J Ooze, Monster Illicit. That's my family. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to my guy Grant. Shout out to my daughter Erin. She just started high school. Shout out to Corey Tate. Shout out to A-Flex. Shout out to Season and Nico and Silas. There's so many people I want to shout out, but I don't have. Shout out to Kamain and Robbie Wood, Risk It 206. Shout out to my guy Profit on Point from Saber. And anybody else that I forgot, it doesn't mean I don't love y'all. I want to give a shout out to Nitro Fresh, my guy Max. He produced a lot of my old work, and I kind of left him off this list on I was on DJ Peg's podcast. And I left him off this list, and I forgot. Shout out to Max. He's a good dude. But speaking of DJ Peg, shout out to DJ Peg and Fresh Out the Northwest. He's got a really dope brand. He's got a really dope podcast. Okay. That's something you might want to holler at, DJ Peg.
For sure.
Get him on your podcast. He's very influential DJ and promoter. Clothing guy in Seattle. Good dude. Solid.
Maybe you could bridge the gap.
Absolutely.
There. You know?
I'd love to, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Anybody else I forgot? You know, it's all love. I love y'all. It's just there's too many to name, you know.
Right.
So,
Old Head out now. Go stream that right now. You know what I mean?
Yes. All streaming platforms.
Let's go. All right, man. So the Interrogator.
Thank you, man.
Wilson Blocker Thou Wow, man. We out.
Let's go.